Welcome to Wheatland. I'm President Buchanan. This is my home. I've lived here for 20 years and loved every moment of it. Please come in. This house was built in 1828 and I moved here in 1848 and spent the rest of my life here, but for the 4 years I was in Washington as president. The house is either Federal or Greek Revival, depending on which architect you talk to, and it is as it was when I lived here. This is the family dining room, and we did have big dinners here on occasion because it was necessary given my political position, but usually I preferred no more than 6 at the table. I'm a diplomat by training and by nature, and I prefer one-on-one conversation, negotiation to get things done. The dishes you're looking at are the same ones I used at the White House during my term. I purchased them in 1854 and then took them to the White House in 1857 and brought them back in 1861. This is the family sitting room. The family spent most of its day in here. It would be me and Miss Hetty, my housekeeper, along with whichever of the children was home at the time. The desk here is the one I used in the White House. It was a gift sent here to Wheatland about a month before I went to Washington, so I took it with me and brought it back afterward. It's made of teak. It was a gift of friends from Calcutta, India, who I met in the early 1850s while I was U.S. Minister to Great Britain. I used this inkwell in Washington also, and this whale oil lamp. You'll notice on the lamps and all the candlesticks in the house, we have crystal pendants hanging. Those are to reflect as much light as possible. It wasn't until after the Civil War that the chandeliers were installed, and they were fueled by gas, and that lit up the house considerably. This is my library, and after I moved into the house in 1848, this is where I did most of my business. A conference table and a relatively high desk, and that's because I was nearsighted in one eye and farsighted in another, and in order to see clearly what I was writing, I had to be close to my work, so I had this made for myself. And you can see on the desk I have a sample of my original handwriting, and that's my autograph. On the table is the last remaining bottle from my cellar. I usually kept 300 cases of good Madeira there. We used it a lot. We liked it a lot. The parlor is the most important room of the house because that's where the public was greeted, and it was too cold when I moved in here in 1848, so I had a coal furnace installed in the basement and blocked up the fireplace and put a register instead. Directly over is my portrait, my official portrait, painted in 1856 while I was a candidate for president. I was 65 years old when this painting was made. It's been a big hit here at the house, and I tend to show it off to everyone. Finally, I'd like to show you this painting of my niece, Harriet Lane. It was painted in 1900 when she was 70 years old and living in Washington. Harriet was my hostess at the White House, and she was the first hostess at the White House to be referred to as the First Lady. She was only 26 years old at the time. Thank you very much for visiting my home, Wheatland, President Buchanan's estate in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We are open every day but Sunday, year-round, and it's a great place to come and visit, a great place to bring children. Come often. Thank you very much for coming.